Hi friends, welcome to my channel. This is Loli. Today we will be working on a pumpkin topiary. We'll be using this Dollar Tree pumpkins from the Dollar Tree, some white apple barrel acrylic paint, and this Dutch aqua paint from folk art. I wanted to achieve a lighter tone of that aqua color, so that's why I'm mixing together the white and the blue or aqua. And I started with my white because I wanted to make sure that I had room to make it darker and not have it too dark, and I try to figure out to dilute it. So there I ended up putting a little bit too much. So I added some more white and I was happy with that color, so I went ahead and painted my butter pumpkin with that color right there. I did, for each of these pumpkins, I did 2 coats on each of the colors that you see. This paint right here is some orange paint that I mixed with some white for a previous DIY that I'm just losing my leftover color on this project, but I only had enough for 1 coat. So you will be seeing how I created this in the beginning later on in the video. I just wanted to make sure not to waste any of my products, so I used this paint for the first coat. So here is how I created that orange that I had in the cup there. I started with this white color from apple barrel. I used a little bit of white on there, and then I mixed in some, like, I think I used a drop, about a drop of the orange color there from apple barrel. And I mixed it and mixed it. I didn't use much of the orange because I really wanted like just a tint of color to it, something very muted. And there is the color, and I'll be giving it the second coat of paint to the second pumpkin on there. And I am impressed at how I matched it completely perfect. Now for the top one, I'll be using the celery color from Waverly. And like I said before, I am doing 2 coats of each. While that's drying, I took some of my steel color. Is it steel? No, I'm sorry. This is mineral from Waverly, to paint one of my terracotta pots from the Dollar Tree. This is one of the bigger size, before the big ones came out, this was the biggest size, so now it's kind of medium. It usually comes in a set of 2, so I took 1 and I painted it with just 1 coat of that. Once that is drying, I went over and I was trying to create some definition to the beginning, to the little, the little pumpkins. I just wanted to put some different colors where the little grooves are there, just to create a little bit more dimension so they look a little bit more realistic. So in order to achieve that, for the bottom pumpkin with the blue, I added some green to all of the indents areas there. And I used, I'm not sure what's the color, that green there. I will put the name in the description box below. I can remember, it's from apple barrel, but I just can't remember the exact color. And then for the other pumpkin there, I believe the second pumpkin, I wanted to add a darker shade of orange to the indents there. So I mixed some of the orange with some of the chestnut color from apple barrel. Mixed them both together and just did a quick and easy dry brush on all of the grooves and the indentations on the pumpkin. There you see me trying to get it. I had a little bit too much paint in my brush, so I just removed some, and you see me there adding the orange color there. I like how bright this looked, but it wasn't exactly what I was going for, so I did this first, contemplated how it looked, and eventually I changed it. But I do like it on camera as I'm looking at it now, but for some reason at that time, it just didn't seem as realistic. So I don't know, you'll see me later going back and forth with this. And this is what happens a lot of times when you create something, you envision something in your mind and it doesn't look quite exactly as you thought of it, and you go with a plan B. So while that was drying with the pumpkins, I took some of the little raffia from the Dollar Tree. I took a long piece and I wrapped it a few times around the planter right there. I made sure everything was tight. I didn't want to add any glue to it because I wasn't sure if I was going to go with this or if I was going to try to use a different kind of material there. So I went over and I tightened everything together and I created a double knot once everything was tight. And I went over and clipped the ends. Here was kind of difficult of trying to hold the knot down while I was doing the other one, but I got it done. So there we go. So we clipped the little X's there and we are done. I had this little bow there that you see from another DIY I did before. It actually came with one of those galvanized pumpkins that the Dollar Tree brought this year for the first time. So I just fluffed it a bit, made it cuter, and I attached it to where my knot was there on the pumpkin. And this is how it ended up. So now we put it on the side and I am going to be changing the colors here. So if you see there, I added some of that, what is it, mineral color to the green pumpkin. And I wasn't too happy with the color that turned out to be in the other one. Remember, the second pumpkin there was orange, so I went over with a little bit of celery over it, and that's why you see the orange is a little bit more toned down. So it's more of a green slash orangey tone to the lighter pumpkin there, the light orange pumpkin. So that's what I did on there. For some reason, my camera did not record. I thought I had pressed record, but I guess I didn't when I did that part. And here you see me adding some of the darker green to the ends there. I wanted the green, but I didn't want it to be such that pukey green, for lack of a better word. So I added some steel on top of it to give it a different tone to it. And I kept going back and forth with this, guys. I was like, okay, now everything has green. I'm not happy with it. I wanted really a little bit more of a orangey tone to the orange pumpkin. So here I added a little bit of my orange to the leftover paints that I had there. And I am giving it another pass to the orange pumpkin there. I kept going back and forth with this. And I was just set in the way that I wanted it. I wanted something to be a little bit darker than the color and close to an orange color as well. So I ended up with that orangey, like I don't know, it's more like a brown orange there, and I was happy with that. Now you see me here mixing up another color. Here I was going back and forth. Okay, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? So I just kept mixing my colors until I figured out the perfect tone. I just keep going back and forth and back and forth. It's just amazing sometimes how your creative juices roll, you know? So I ended up making all this mix, and I just I went over that middle pumpkin again. That middle pumpkin was driving me insane. So, you know, I didn't like the green. Again, I wanted a lighter color, so I just used this color to tone down a little bit the other one, which was it kind of looked like a darker green now than it did an orange. So that's what I did, that I wanted to just give it a little bit of a lighter tone, that you can see the indentations, but it wasn't as pronounced, and in a way that it will really blend in with the other pumpkin. I just kept doing that, and you can see there's not much of a difference, but I just feel like it makes the pumpkin look more realistic with these different undertones back and forth, and this trick seemed to help. So it was a lot of mixing, and I ended up with a perfect color. So once that was drying, I am getting ready to fix my planter there to put the pick in. So I used one of these round things from the Dollar Tree. They're round phones. They come in a packet too. And I pressed it down on it so it will indent, and then I'm using the indentation and going like an inch or half an inch closer in order to make it go into the planter there. Here I had a hard time. I finally got to cut it with my planter, but my pick there, but I kind of threw everything on the ground. So that was a little bit too long. That's why I did that. And now here it sits perfect on my planter. I just wanted to make sure it worked right. So now I am taking some of the Spanish moss from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to put it right on top of that photo foam. I didn't want to put it beforehand because sometimes it's hard to stick things onto it. So I stick my foam first. I stick my stem of the pumpkins first, and then I filled in the gap in between, and then I will press the pumpkins back down. I just wanted to make sure everything was covered properly and that nothing will be coming off. And I just keep adding hot glue as needed and adding a little bit more of my Spanish moss going around and making sure that everything was even. So here we go with that. This got a little bit messy there. I tried to keep it in the bag, but it didn't quite work. And here I'm giving it a quick little haircut. Just want everything to be nice and cohesive and all tidy. So now you will see me taking more of the Spanish moss, but I'm going to be using it for in between the pumpkins. So I wanted to cut them into tiny little pieces, and you'll see me there breaking little pieces apart so they will be easier to work with. I just find it easier that way, and I also used the leftover pieces that fell off from the bag as I was, doing the bottom part of with the moss there. All right, so once everything was nice and small, I added hot glue to in between there where the pumpkins met. I worked in small sections, and I kept adding on my moss on there. I did that all around both parts where the pumpkins met. Just take your time on here. I actually did very good here. I did not burn my fingers. I usually, when I do this, I burn my fingers. I actually didn't have any nails, so I could have just used my little finger protectors, but I was doing good. I was being extra careful, but I do suggest that you do use your little rubber finger protectors to do this, because sometimes you do get a part there that has a little bit of hot glue and goes through your moss and burns your fingers. So there we go. Me, I'm Venezuelan. I'm used to picking up hot arepas with my bare hands, so my level of burning my hands is a little bit higher than others. So I tend to do a lot of things like this without even worrying about getting burned. So just making sure there that my pumpkins were straight. They were giving me a hard time. They kept getting lopsided, so I added some more glue in the end that was sticking down more, and added a piece of my Spanish moss in there until it was all nice and leveled. I'm doing the top one there. I used the smaller pieces on the top one there because the space between both pumpkins was smaller and the pumpkin was smaller, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't put too much that will just take away from the different scales of the pumpkin. There we go. All right, if this is not fast enough for you guys, I'm sorry. I'm trying to slow down my videos a little bit too much. I think sometimes I go a little too fast and I don't give you time to really look at it. So if you like this way, this being a little bit less sped up as my regular videos, better, or if you like the speed of my previous videos, you prefer that instead, please let me know. I am here to make things easier for you all. Let me know what can I do to improve. I really welcome feedback. So I'm here to help, and it's always helpful to know what is really helpful. Here I am clipping all my little excess, making sure that everything is nice and tidy and in between both of the pumpkins. And this part was fun. I really like this. Next time I will use the smaller scissors, because it would have been a lot easier to get in between the pumpkins there. And now that I was happy, I added hot glue to the bottom there. Make sure it was level. And that part right there, it is done. But we're not done with the whole piece yet. We're just done with this portion. Once I cleaned up my little messy parts right there, there you go, look at that. I took some of these beads from the Dollar Tree. They are beaded garland, and I just wrapped it around the areas there where I put the moss. I made sure I tightened the top really good, then dropped it down to the second one and wrapped it twice on there, and I tucked in the little end of the wire into itself, and I added a little bit of hot glue there to make sure that it stayed put. I held it for a couple of seconds there to make sure that it stayed flat as one piece, and there we go. We are here taking one of the little sunflowers that I've been using a lot this year from the Dollar Tree. I cut this little stem off, added a little bit of hot glue in the middle of the raffia bow, and stuck it right there on the center. And this DIY is complete. Look at that, guys. I love the muted colors. I am loving that blue this year. I truly like how that other pumpkin ended up looking. It looks so natural. The middle one, even though I went back and forth with the colors, I am so pleased with this. I hope you guys love it just as much as I do. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed day. Bye.